to this edition of the 6 p.m. bilingual or primetime newscast of Equinoxe television. We are coming to you from our headquarters in Cameroon's economic capital, Douala. In our top stories in this edition of the news, a child remains missing after heavy rain hit the town of Douala, triggering flood in different parts of the town. Such operation is underway, and after a decade following the first attack of Boko Haram militants on the far north region of the Republic of Cameroon, the Mayo-Tsanaga division remains trapped in fear, uncertainty, and continuous kidnapping by Boko Haram militants, and inhabitants are now calling on authorities to take measures to end the violence. Those are top stories. Such operation is underway in Douala after a child was swept away by flood waters during heavy rains that battered the city. The incident occurred in the Ange Raphael neighborhood, where the child reportedly fell into a drainage canal and was carried away by the strong current. Residents are still hoping for answers as authorities continue efforts to locate the child. Immaculate Fogwe tells us more.
At first glance, this roadside gutter near Groupe Scolaire Bilingue Les Prodigies, close to EPPA Junction in the Douala 5 subdivision, appears harmless. But during heavy rainfall last Sunday, it became a deadly trap for a 6-year-old girl. According to eyewitnesses, young Carol Vicky was swept away by floodwaters while trying to retrieve a sleeper that had fallen into the gutter. Her 10-year-old brother immediately jumped in to help, but was also carried away by the strong current. Hearing the children's cry for help, a neighbor rushed to the scene.
Yesterday at about 6:30 p.m. I was at home with my children when I suddenly heard loud screams. I went outside to find out what was happening. The children told me there were other children in the water. I first saw a boy holding on a plank. I tried to rescue him, but he told me to first save his sister, who was still in the water. I rushed toward her and I saw her head above the water. I tried to grab her, but the strong current swept her away. I was unable to save her. I then returned to the boy, lifted him out of the water, and pulled him to safety.
Back at the family residence, grief and uncertainty filled the air. Through tears, the girl's mother recounts leaving home earlier that day for a family gathering. On her way back, she received a phone call that changed her life forever.
I left the house around 4 p.m. to attend a family meeting. My children were at home, and before leaving, I told them to take their bath, show them where their food was, and gave them the key. The meeting ended around 7 p.m. and while I was heading home, it started raining heavily, so I had to wait for a while. While I was still there, a woman from my neighborhood called to inform me that my daughter had been carried away by flood waters. I immediately took a motorcycle and rushed home. When I arrived, I saw the entire neighborhood outside. I was told they had gone to a birthday celebration. On their way, my daughter's slippers fell into the water. As she tried to pick it up, she was swept away by the current. Her brother jumped in to rescue her, but was also caught by the water. Fortunately, he managed to hold onto a plank. I called the firefighters yesterday and also alerted the gendarmerie, but they did not come. My husband later went there and he was told that the search would only begin after 3 days.
Carol Vicky, a pupil who had just been promoted to Class 2, was due to be baptized next Sunday. Today, her parents have only one wish: to find their daughter alive. It should be recalled that less than a month ago, another young girl lost her life after being swept away by floodwaters in the Banya Sab neighborhood, also in the Douala 5 subdivision.
More than a decade after Boko Haram militants launched the first attacks in the far north region of Cameroon, communities in the Mayo-Tsanaga division say insecurity remains a daily reality as the newly appointed senior division officer begins his maiden tour of the division. Residents are calling for stronger measures to curb kidnappings and persistent violence. For me, Armstrong Sander report.
Since 2014, the Mayo-Tsanaga division in the far north region of Cameroon has lived to the rhythm of armed attacks, kidnappings and demands for ransoms. 12 years of suffering that have deeply marked the local population. In several localities, residents say that they have lost sleep, forced to live in almost permanent insecurity. It is in this context that the new senior divisional officer for the Mayo-Tsanaga, Sone Clemangwe, undertook his very first familiarization tour across the division's 7 subdivisions, the most populous of the far north region of Cameroon. During the field mission, the administrative authority also visited about 20 traditional chiefdoms in order to familiarize himself with the realities experienced by the local population. Everywhere he goes, the findings were alarming. The testimonies gathered paints a picture of a division severely affected by violence linked to the terrorist sect Boko Haram and the growing phenomenon of hostage-taking. In Toro, in Mokolo subdivision, the figures provided by local authorities illustrate the scale of the tragedy. According to local elected officials, more than 300 civilians have lost their lives since the start of the security crisis, while 24 members of the vigilante committees have died in the line of duty protecting the local population, as clearly explained by the 5th deputy mayor of the Mokolo Council and an elite of Turu. In the same locality, the large Turu market was also set ablaze during an attack attributed to Boko Haram fighters. Several traders watched their shops go up in smoke, losing overnight fruit of many years of hard work. A member of the vigilante group explained.
Ils ont brûlé les boutiques après avoir pillé, après avoir emporté tous les biens, les marchandises de population.
The Turo Health Center, the main medical facility for the area's population, was not also spared by the inferno. The building was vandalized and large quantity of medical equipment and drugs was taken away by the attackers, according to the head of the Turo Health Center.
Ils ont enlevé tous les matériels de soins au niveau des salles de soins.
From Mokolo to Haina, passing through Sule de Roi, Mayo-Muskota, Koza, Bura and Mogudi, the local population denounces the persistence of insecurity and the growing scale of kidnappings for ransom. Except concerns were not limited to security only, but also extended to the educational sector, as they say the sector is facing a serious shortage of teachers. Several teachers assigned there refuse to take up their responsibility because of the security situation, as explained by Omaro Mbuma, a bursar at the Bura Technical High School.
Le seul arrondissement de Bura compte à ce jour plus de 900 élèves. Et à l'heure où je parle, il y a 2 enseignants.
In Mogudi, Lamido Abubakar Faisal called for a strengthening of the security system in the area. He also requested the revival of the tourism sector in the Rumsiki area, once one of Cameroon's main touristic destinations, as well as the elevation of the Mugudi Lamidat to the rank of a first-class chiefdom.
Nous rencontrons des difficultés parce qu'on n'a pas assez d'eau. Nous rencontrons des difficultés parce que nous n'avons pas de lumière.
In Mayo-Muskota subdivision, hostage-taking continues to spread fears. According to the local population, several families say that some of their relatives who were kidnapped have never regained their freedom despite ransom payment.
Les actes d'enlèvement avec demande de rançon par les hommes sans foi ni loi qui sèment la secousse à l'encontre.
Faced with this situation, the senior divisional officer for the Mayo-Tsanaga issued a firm warning to all those who in the shadows collaborate with the armed groups by passing on information about security deployment on the ground. The administrative authority also paid tribute to the defense and security forces as well as members of the vigilant committees who've paid the ultimate price in this war against Boko Haram. Since the start of the crisis, hundreds of volunteers have lost their lives across the Mayo-Tsanaga division. The most recent tragedy occurred just about 10 days ago with the death of 2 members of the Vigilance Committee. At the end of his tour, Sone Clement expressed his determination to restore security in the Mayo-Tsanaga. According to him, a new strategic approach involving defense and security forces, administrative authorities, traditional rulers and the population will gradually be implemented in order to curb terrorist incursions and give hope back to the division wounded by more than a decade of violence.
A major access road serving the Bonamusadi market area in the Douala 5 subdivision has become virtually impassable, raising serious public health concerns. And the public health concerns emanate from the fact that the stretch, popularly known as Entrée Chabon, from the Bonamusadi nursery school to the market, is now covered by heaps of garbage and stagnant water, making movement difficult for residents and traders alike. Details with Lomanyeru.
This is the road called Entrée Chabon, which leads to the Bonamusadi market. This road is full of dirty waste from one end to another. Because of this, it's very hard for local people to move around or easily get access to the market. The consequences are very bad for the community. Neighbors are facing health issues, especially breathing problems because of the bad smell. Also, shop owners are losing money because customers refuses to walk through this dirty area to buy goods. The situation gets much worse when it rains. The main garbage bins are not being cleared away by the city. Even worse, some people are collecting dirty plastic bottles from the trash piles. They use this bottle to sell drinking water inside the market. This road right behind Lycée d'Aquanor in Bonamusadi and also connects to the back gate of Modia Stadium in Bonamusadi. This is a busy area with many students and family. Residents want the government's intervention to clear up the trash and make the road operational.
After a 2-week suspension over allegations of exam paper monetization and widespread malpractices, candidates sitting the General Certificate of Education Ordinary and Advanced Level Examinations are back in examination halls across the Republic of Cameroon. In the Southwest Regional Capital, Boya school officials and candidates are hopeful the exercise will proceed smoothly as authorities enforce stricter measures to safeguard the integrity of the exams. Our Southwest correspondent Rex Afon Faris in details from Boya.
After 2 weeks at home entirely against their wishes, candidates of the GC Ordinary and Advanced Level General examinations are back in accommodation centers to continue writing their exams.
All of the anxiety, the enthusiasm, zeal, passion, literally died down when we heard that the exam was postponed. But I don't choose that and push it up like.
I'm writing the ordinary. I'm writing physics to Pawan this morning. I'm tense because they postponed the exam. I think it will be more difficult.
The 2 weeks was a little bit stressful, but we have read well, and most of my colleagues, those who never had time to read and prepare well, I think it gave us another opportunity to read and prepare well for the exam. So I know all of us are going to make it and pass well.
These 2 weeks provided an opportunity for some schools to intensify revision and reinforce caution against examination malpractice.
You could see a good number of them out there, they are ready to write. They had more time to study. For those who are conscious of what lies ahead of them, they had more time to study, more time to prepare to improve on their grades. So I think they should come prepared. And I told them earlier, that when they are preparing for this exam, they should know that this time around, all those VIP classes will fail them.
At Government High School Boya Town, the examination has resumed smoothly.
We started the GC on the 2nd of June, and we had a break for 2 weeks. We started this morning. Even when they started on the 2nd, we had an assembly before we started the exam. I told them that might say, if I catch you whispering or playing in the room, I will not take it for granted.
For some candidates, satisfaction marked the first paper of the day.
It was nice, but a bit challenging, though I read, and what I read really misses. Salova did a good job because I had enough time to revise, and the subject I wrote today, I didn't like the subject, but just because she asked us to stay home for 2 weeks, I had to study the subject with my friends.
The examinations resumed after the Minister of Secondary Education, Pauline Nalova-Lyonga, raised concerns over the monetization of examination papers and widespread examination malpractice, and she had to put a pause to the continuity of the exam for a period of 2 weeks.
Coming up, we bring to you the smart side of the 2026 World Cup unfolding in the United States, Canada, and Mexico. History is being written as the 2026 World Cup unfolds. Egypt has ended a 92-year wait. Tunisia has bowed out of the competition, and several debutant nations are making a strong impression on football's biggest stage. Sportsman Suman Jikan-Gebre has more.
It was a historic night for Mohamed Salah and Egypt. A 3-1 win over New Zealand gave the Pharaohs their first ever World Cup victory since their debut in 1934. Egypt had searched, waited, and fallen short. That 92-year door is finally open. For Tunisia, the tournament is over. Ranked 8th in Africa, the Carthage Eagles became the first African nation eliminated from the World Cup 2026 after a 0-4 loss to Japan. Not even coach Hervé Renard could turn it around. Tunisia conceded 14 goals in 3 matches, 9 of them in the last 2 games at the FIFA World Cup. They end their campaign against the Netherlands. Turkey remains the only team at the FIFA World Cup 2026 with no goals, despite 62 shots on goal so far. History was also made in Kansas City. World Cup newcomers Curaçao earned their first ever point with a 0-0 draw against Ecuador. Goalkeeper Eloy Rom, 37, was the hero, turning in the game of his life. The result puts a serious dent in Ecuador's qualification hopes. Cabo Verde continues to impress. The Blue Sharks drew 2-2 with Uruguay for their second point in 2 matches. 29-year-old Kevin Lenini wrote his name in the history books as the first player from Cabo Verde to score at a FIFA World Cup final. It was also a family moment, with goalkeeper Vozinia's mother Anna in the stands after missing his son's debut due to visa issues. Discipline is tightening up too. World Cup 2026 has already seen 8 red cards. For context, Qatar 2022 had just 4 reds in 64 matches. And as Spain's Lamine Yamal entered the record books, at 18, he became only the second teenager in the history to open the scoring at a FIFA World Cup. The first was 17-year-old Pelé for Brazil in 1958. With group games closing, every point now counts towards the knockout phase.
Now back home, as the curtain begins to fall on the Elite 1 and Elite 2 football season, celebrations in Abongbang are being lowered or slowed down by controversy, while Union Sportive of Abongbang has secured its place in Elite 1 next season. Questions surrounding the officiating during the playoff phase have sparked renewed debate among football stakeholders. Once more, Smart Njikan Gabriel has details.
Union Sportive of Abombang confirmed their place in the Elite 1 Championship next season after a strong showing in the Elite 2 playoff. But even with promotion secured, supporters across the league say concerns over officiating are still unresolved. Supporters of Fourth Azul Elite blame central referee Martin Bomba and assistant Bienvenu Mayong for their club's relegation to Elite 2. They accused the referees commission of poor appointment, claiming Bomba awarded unfounded penalties that helped Fourth Azul's opponent stay in Elite 1. Fourth Azul first raised complaints on day 20 against Aigle of Mungo, and they now face Colombe of Janelobo in the final match. More controversy came from the Elite 2 playoffs down during Union Sportive of Douala's match against FC Yaoundé 2. Yaoundé 2 players stopped playing, saying referee Nchefinjim Cham was favoring Union of Douala. The match ended 7-0. The result keeps Union Douala's hopes alive through the national Interpols, while FC Yaoundé 2 will drop to the Central Regional League next season. With promotion and relegation decided on the pitch, calls are growing for the referees commission to review appointments and address clubs' concerns before next season kicks off.
That's it for the first part of this newscast. Talking Point is coming up next. Our guest today is young Patrice LUMUMBA. He is a maritime consultant, an expert in maritime law. Thank you for joining us today. And with him, we are talking about challenges faced by seafarers in Cameroon ahead of the International Seafarers Day. We are looking at these challenges, and the seafarers in Cameroon are facing a complex mix of several security threats, legal vulnerabilities, and infrastructural bottlenecks that impact their safety and livelihood, operating primarily out of major hubs like the port of Douala and Kribi. Cameroonian mariners navigate a particularly challenging environment. Now, to begin with, Captain Young Patrice LUMUMBA, you were recently appointed as the Central Africa Regional Facilitator of the Blue Economy platform, or the Blue Economy Initiative. Tell us more about that.
This organization, its main aim is to bring together stakeholders, leaders, experts, and stakeholders of the Blue Economy concept, which involves protecting aquatic biodiversity, tourism, promoting tourism, environmental protection, and climatic changes. And the initiator, the CEO and the executive of the African Blue Economy Roundtable, which has seen birth in Nigeria, Delta State, by ELSA, by Dr. Pireye Karayamu. The first thing they aimed at, it was to get facilitators from all the main regions. That is ECOWAS, ECAS, SADC, and the Northern Africa, East Africa, of which today we've had, it's just North Africa that is still pending. So that together we can brainstorm, and while working in synergy, I think it will be easier for us to achieve the aims and objectives of this organization.
Right. Captain Young Patrice LUMUMBA, what are the major challenges faced by seafarers in Cameroon today?
Well, again, thank you. The main challenges is training. And after training, we have employment. After employment, we have career profile. Yes. I will start with training. Training, the maritime world is a world of certification. licenses. Our maritime authority is not willing to facilitate the renewal of the basic, like STCW, Standard Training Certification of Washkeeping. Why do we say so? We witness a scene that we are still wondering. There is a big institution in Limbe, LINAFI, Limbe International Nautical and Fisheries School, that contracted a MOU with the Regional Maritime University of Ghana in order to enable Cameroonians with basicals, STCW, to be able to renew it here in Limbe at a cheaper cost than going to Ghana for 2-3 weeks, where they will have to spend more than 1.5 million. But to our greater dismay, it was the director of the Maritime Affairs and Inland Waterway who asked the minister to put an injunction to it. But LINAFI is a state school. There is another one for higher studies in Yabasi, and a new one has been created in the south with location in Kribi. Now, we are asking, people are not ready to put our institutions on the norms and ethics, but by the side, they are busy creating other institutions, claiming and selling to people, which will be very limited. I'll have to pierce the access. They are talking about a certification school in Edea. Yes, it's a good idea. We are not against. But why do you have to destroy and kill the state schools at the detriment of that? Because that school is in partnership from the Canadian Maritime Institution. But in our research, we realize that those who go there and come out, their certification and licenses in the world maritime market is limited. If you come there with a certification, you will need endorsement from the Liberian flag, Marshall Island, Panama, before you can be employed by any ship owner in the world. So we ask ourselves at the end of the day, do they like our nation?
What is happening to the Limbe Nautical Arts and Fisheries Institute?
I also think that maybe the director too, who is there, is not bold, because when there are problems, I'm not sure he has called the attention of his bosses, because that school is run by two big ministries, the Ministry of Animal Breeding, Fisheries and Animal Industry, and the Ministry of Higher Education. I think if he had posed this problem to his bosses, a solution would have been found, because we don't understand that it's state school. And worst of all, the Director of Maritime Affairs and Inland Waterways of Cameroon, under the Ministry of Transport, was picked from there by the minister. So we are wondering, how can a house mold you and then you turn to be against that house?
You're listening there to Captain Young Patrice LUMUMBA. Thank you so much for accepting to be part of this conversation. Today we'll certainly be coming back to these issues in greater details, notably with regards to the non-respect of international standards in the payment of Cameroonian seafarers. That's it for today's edition of Talking Point. Thank you for staying with us. God bless Cameroon. God bless Africa. I am Bable Jonathan. Goodbye.